caveat emptor, folks. Caveat emptor, buyer beware. So when the government stands up there, we're going to find a solution, he's just said, I'm going to tax you. He just said, I'm going to tax you. Because the solution is to do with money. Actually, wait a minute, I've kind of gone a wee bit ahead of myself here, but anyway. So God, so let's get back to this individual God and clear up the common law. Because God, whatever idol you want to worship, and we're told not to worship idols, graven images actually is the word, and if you go and look that up, graven images, it's anything built by man.
How to spell it?
Graven, like the grave.
Oh.
Again, telling you what's going on. They've got to tell you what's going on. They've got to tell you what's going on. It's caveat emptor. I tell you what I'm going to do to you and you do nothing about it. And in fact, you endorse it by going and voting for it. Yeah. Hey, good luck. And this is where we're not getting any traction anywhere. So, let me define God for you, for anybody who might have anybody who might have issues. God is an acronym. Now, an acronym in English is a word where each letter defines the beginning of another word. So let's just define God as a gift of divinity. Okay, your gift of divinity, you've got it whether you want it or not. Okay, you can use it, you cannot use it, you can express it in Buddha or Jesus or Tom Hanks or Mickey Mouse for all I care. It's your choice, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing about choice. So now God's laws are pretty simple. Hey, there's pretty much only 3 of them. Don't kill. Let's do this. Don't steal. And don't deceive, maybe. I before E. Don't kill, don't steal, don't deceive. Now they're pretty much enshrined, as I said before, in all religions. Doesn't matter what one you go to. Some of them express it in 10 ways, 5 ways, 15 ways. Some of them have thousands of ways of expressing these simple precepts that are born. Again, the word will tell you what's going on here. It's inherent. It's inherent. This is what it is. This is the God, this is the divinity within you. It's inherent. So we inherit that. We inherit it, okay? That's our inheritance, according to the Bible. And as I said before, with religion, I'm not a religious man. Although I do believe in a higher power, and a creator, or a source, or the great-grandfather, or the spirit, or whatever you want to call it. But as far as religion goes, I don't want nothing to do with religion, because as I said, the very definition of the word contracts you into being bound again. Old Testament, New Testament, you're bound, not once but twice, telling you what's going on. So these things are inherent, and they are as at the top of that thing there, I think I've got it at the top there, they are inalienable. Oh no, it's back there. It's about the third one in, third page in. It's inalienable. Some people write this word with UN. UN, well actually, in actual fact, both of them denote a negative as a prefix, but anyway. Un is to undo, but in is in. These rights are inalienable, okay? You've got them. But they can be unalienated from you by consent. Via consent, you can alienate yourselves from your God-given rights, okay, and your divinity. So gift of divinity, that's God. It's enshrined in these pretty simple rules that we all inherently know. We don't want to kill anybody. We don't want to steal anybody's shit. We don't want to harm anybody or deceive anybody. Most of us, 99% of us anyway, I'm sure. We all want to just get along, live our lives, have good friends, have a job, have a roof over our heads, and have loved ones and family around us. That's all we pretty much want. We're pretty simple creatures at heart. But unfortunately, we've got a parasite on our backs. But it's a parasite that's been telling us exactly what they're doing. Again, I'll give you another example of that, because it's right in the very definitions of the words once we start to look into it. So God's law is pretty simple, folks. Pretty simple stuff. I can live by those. Those are pretty simple laws. I can live by those ones. What was I doing there? Oh yes, okay. So the other type of laws are lawyers, okay? The other type of laws that we have there's two different books that we are operating in. Common law operates in this book. In this book here, it enshrines your rights, your duties, the way you should conduct yourself and treat others, and it gives us a bit of a roadmap for life as the living. This book also raises the dead. That's what Jesus was all about, wasn't he? Raising the dead. I wonder what that's all about in this particular scenario of things. So we're going to get to that. So the different types of laws, you've got God's laws, they're pretty simple, they're enshrined, they're throughout the world, and most people understand them. But there's another type of laws that are enshrined in legislation. Perhaps I should get that out now. I'll pull that one out there. And explain this here. So over here we have two worlds we're operating in, folks. We have two worlds we're operating in, and these two worlds they're interchanging and intermingling all the time through on a subliminal level, which means below our threshold. We don't quite understand. We're actually flipping into conscious and subconscious sight and insight. And every now and then we get a glimpse. Every now and then you'll get a glimpse of it's something there. Can't quite put my finger on it. What is it? But so it's happening through the language and through the spelling. This stuff is magical, and it truly is, because the pen is mightier than the sword, isn't it? And I'll get into that too. We'll get into the pen. We'll get into the pen. We'll be open about that. So we have the two types of laws that are being operated. We have the common law jurisdiction, which is basically love. Love is the glue that binds everything, really. And there is no evil, there's only just lack of love. There is no darkness, there's only just lack of light. It's because we're not comprehending it. We're not being able to see it. We've been mentally programmed and dumbed down. They're called TV programs for a reason, folks, again. And it's coming out of a monitor. They monitor you. They're monitoring you and programming you because they're telling you what they're doing. They've got to explain to you what they're doing to you. Because then you just sit around and you go, yeah, I'll vote for that, and I'll go polling, and it sounds all so much fun, doesn't it? And they use language to make it sound like fun, because you're going out there to a party, aren't you? Voting for the party. Oh, and I've got the candidate. He's my candidate. This is how the language is working on us at a subliminal level, and this is the remedy to all division and anxiety that we may be feeling, because this is the thing you're not quite putting your finger on. Christ, we all know about the chemtrails, we know about the 5G, we know about the vaccines, we know about all sorts of different conspiracies. But until you know about this, until you know about the power of the word and the pen and spelling and magic, you're going to stay in fucking Twilight Zone. You're going to be in the Twilight Zone and not be able to put your fingers on anything. Excuse my language. I assume we're all adults here. I assume we are. Kids watching. Don't go back to bed. So we've been trapped into a system where we're getting duped into what's called joinder contracts. And these contracts they're foisted upon us in many, many ways. Everything is contract. Words are contract. And any woman who knows anything about contractions, they will tell you they're painful. Okay? They are. And that's for a reason. We get conscripted, and I use that word specifically, we get conscripted onto a fictional vessel at birth. When we are born, unfortunately our mothers become, or usually the mothers become what's called the informant, which in legal circles is usually a narc, otherwise known as a narc, and informant is a narc. So anyway, so the mother unknowingly, again through the language, through the registration of the name of the baby, creates what we call a straw man. Now, a straw man is a dead entity. This is the dead entity that Jesus is trying to raise through the Word. Because in the beginning was the Word, wasn't it? Very interesting that. And that sounds logical, isn't it? It's words, sound, logic is truth. Anyway, so through the language we've been deceived. So lawyers were a long time ago called grammarians. We have grammar in our English language. Lawyers a long time ago were called grammarians. Now grammar is a Latin word. It's two Latin words actually. Comes from gram, which is to weigh, which is where gram as lawyers within justice, which is where we get the scales of justice. Okay, that's where we get the scales of justice. But to mar, what is to mar? Oh, to mar is to confuse. So again, they're telling you what they're doing to you. They're telling you what they're doing to you. They're there to weigh things up and confuse the issues, and that's what they do. That's why you'll never win with a lawyer. Very close to liar. It's very close to liar. And to become a lawyer, you have to go to university for, what is it, 4-6 years to get your degrees, because it's all about the different degrees, isn't it? Anyway, so you've got to go to law school for 6 or 8 years or whatever it is, and you know, you'll come out and you'll be practicing a particular area of law, and you'll only be practicing. Guess who they're practicing on? They're telling you, even doctors are practicing on you. And they're there to doctor things. Because they're telling you, we're here to doctor that. So again, they're telling you what's going on through the language. The language, the English language that we've been given is commonly, maybe not so common because it's not commonly known. A lot of these things are not commonly known. They're right in front of our face. We don't commonly know these things. We will never be taught. That's what happens at school. We get taught you. That's your taught, isn't it? Taught your is your taught. You're taught your. They taught you. They tell you what they're doing to you. They got to. And so where were we? And so we have a system under government. Beautiful word, govern. G-O-V-E-R-N, govern. In Latin, gubernare means control. Ment in Latin means mind. Government is mind control. They're telling you what they're doing. They operate out of a house called parlement. Parlement is a French word. It's two French words. Parler, to speak, and mentir is lies. So you have a bunch of mind controllers out there speaking lies, and you're all going out there voting for them, wondering why you're not getting any traction.
Is it the same for other languages?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. There's codes built into the language. Because, like, I don't know if any of you know about cymatics, the science of cymatics. Cymatics is where scientists took a metal plate and they passed harmonic vibrations through it, sounds through it, throwing salt or sand particles on the plate, and it starts to form beautiful geometric patterns, harmonies, harmonics. And that stuff's organic because it's all about the organs, which is interesting because in all churches they used to have organs. It's it's a fascinating thing to think about. Because that sounds good again, doesn't it? It sounds good. Okay, so they're telling us again what they're doing. They're a bunch of controllers out there, mind controlling us with their words. That's what they're doing.
Is there a reason why they use different languages instead of just using Latin completely?
The English language, the language that we've been given is sometimes considered to be an equivocal language. Now, we often know the term unequivocal. Unequivocal means very clear, it's very concise, there's no misinterpretations of unequivocal things. Like the sun's hot, that's unequivocal. Okay? So equivocal, the English language is known as an equivocal language, which means unclear, duplicit, vague. So it's built into it by its design. And again, they tell you what they're doing to you. Because it's the alpha beta, isn't it? The alpha and the beta. It's the sound wave. It's a sign. It's a sign, isn't it? Isn't that a sign? Oh yeah, it's a sine wave. That's what that is. But what happens is, at certain points, we keep going round in a circle. But this is all to do, again, with cymatics and vibrations and sounds and frequencies and pitch and volume. Volume is very important too, isn't it? Because we measure things in volume. What else do we measure in volume?
Alpha and beta is always about
Water.
consciousness as well.
Sorry?
If you look at your brainwave patterns, alpha and beta is about consciousness and unconsciousness.
Indeed, indeed. That's why we have this delta strain, because it's the lowest form of sleep patterns. You put you in a delta. They've got to tell you what they're doing to you. And they do. They tell you in front of your face exactly what they're doing to you, folks.
We've now got Delta Plus.
Delta Plus! But wait, there's more! You couldn't make it up. So, and there's all sorts of things like, okay, so in our alphabet, let's start with our alphabet. Let's start with simple stuff, shall we? The A, B, C. So in our alphabet we have letters, yeah? A to Z. These are called letters. In the old days, the word let meant to hinder. It meant to hinder, to obstruct, is to let. So if I was, like, or even another way they used it in Old English was, if a group of people wanted to cross someone else's land, they would say, I will let you cross my land. And that meant, oh yeah, okay, we'll give you a couple of goats and sheep and you can cross my land, and away you go. Touch nothing, look at nothing or whatever, and away you go, all good. So even the simple nature of these, and these are symbols, and symbols, the sound. Yeah, of course. So this is a sine wave. We have a sine wave. Okay, so these are characters. These are caricatures. They're actually sigils. In actual fact, when you really write down the brass tacks, they're called sigils. And if you know anything about sigils and magic and all that sort of stuff, these are to invoke things and to summon things, like in the court. When you get caught, they want to summons you, don't they? Because it's the dead they're talking to, and they know it, and they're telling you, hey, is anyone dead out there? And you go in there and put your hand up, oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, oh yeah, that's me, I did that. Boom, you're caught. Of course you're caught, you're in court. You're in front of the magistrate, straight out magic. What else is played on a court? And the whole objective in the court is to put the ball onto the other side, defendant, respondent, defendant, respondent, this sort of stuff. It's a game of tennis. It's a game of tennis. But it's played with a racket too, because it's a racket. But there's no love in that game. There's no love in that game. You never find love in that game. You never find the word love or man or woman in legislature. Never. Pretty big clue, that. Pretty big remedy right there, if you pick that one up.
No. Is there a dictionary for all that stuff? Is there a dictionary for all this?
Is there a dictionary for it? Yeah, we've got an English dictionary.
No, yeah.
For the deciphering of it, no. No, not in one place. This is stuff that I've garnered over years of, and I've got lots of law books and lots of history books and grammar books, and this is my thing. I love it because this is your remedy, folks. Once you can start mastering the power of the pen and create that whole circle within your O pen, then you're out. That's your out, because the pen is mightier than the sword. The swords are words. Words are swords.
This is the game.
Yeah.
This is the game that we are to learn to play.
Well, yes, you're in it. Yeah, you're in it whether you know it or not. But you haven't quite figured out that, oh wait, what's going on here? What is it why is it that my voice is not being heard?
In two worlds.
And that's why they call this, when you get here, you go to have a hearing, don't you? You have a hearing, and you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's by design, because you should listen twice and speak once. That's what the message is there. Listen twice and speak once, because they will. And if we go into I think it's anagrams. Anagrams. If we go to listen, there's also silent. Silent is listen. If you change an anagram, if you change the letters around, you can get other words. Okay. It's no coincidence when you change the word ship round, you get hips. It's no coincidence. It's by design. You'll probably get into that one too, actually. So we have the alpha, the beta, the sine waves, that are the letters that we put pen to paper. Paper is actually called stationary because it doesn't move.
No,
It doesn't move until you put pen to paper.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is that why society is moving outside of pen into digital? Like, does that make sense?
No.
That everyone is moving on to
No,
this and
no, no,
writing?
no. That's just a natural phase we're going through because we're getting faster. We're getting faster. The time dilation that's happening now. If anyone knows about Terence McKenna and his theory, I think he was a bit out his timing. But what's happening now, folks, and you'll start to be aware of this once I point it out to you, is the distance. It's not time speeding up. Say, oh, time's getting faster. No, it's not. The distance between your mental machinations and the manifestation of those manifestations is shortening.
Accelerated.
That's what's happening. It's accelerating. And so this whole process of the great cleansing and all that sort of stuff, this is about you and your minds, folks. This is about you cleansing your minds. Because if your minds aren't cleared and filtered and aware and fully alert of what's going on, then you will be deceived. KZN door. Let those that be deceived be deceived. It's by design. D-sign. That was the other one. D-sign, folks. See, because now our alphabet is full of all sorts of interesting things. We have silent letters, don't we? Some of them are silent. Why? And when? How does that apply? Some of them work as consonants, meaning there's two normal letters like B and C and D, as opposed to the vowels. Because we have vowels in our language, don't we? Vowels? That's interesting. What are your vowels? What vowels have you taken? What vowels have you signed up for? What have you become? See, through the pen, see, in the old days we didn't have alphabet, or we didn't have languages, or we didn't have, most of the commoners were ignorant. They couldn't even write their name. They didn't know an alphabet or a sigil or a character. They didn't know any of these things. And so they would just leave a mark. X marks the spot. Many of the forms, because they want to get you in form, when you go into whether it's WINS or the police department or the council or whatever it is, they want to get you in form. So that's why they give you a form to fill in, so they can get you in form. Yes. Then they've got you in formation. They've got you in formation. They're telling you what they're doing to you. Do you hear me?
Yes.
They're telling what they're doing to you. They're programming you and getting you all in line and saying, oh, yes, I'll do this. And, but that mark, it's interesting. That mark was the nature of your sign. It was your signature, wasn't it? It's the nature of your sign, and that's individual to every single one of you. Of course, just like your fingerprint. It's individual to every single one of us. So this is the nature of our sign. And as I was saying, sometimes the letter is silent. So maybe that becomes a sin. Maybe we're getting into sin with the pen through the nature of our signage. Bit of synergy there, eh? This is how the language is working on us. We're starting to see this. You're starting to sort of feel this, there's something going on here. Because your minds are starting to this information, this is how words are power. This information is working on you at a vibrational level. And that shit you're watching on TV, man. If you're watching TV, I'm not interested in people. I can't talk to people who watch TV. Yeah. Because if you're observant enough, you will be able to tell who watches TV and who doesn't. There are certain signs that you can, once you learn to become observant, the observer comes with respect. Re is to do again, spectacle, spectator, inspect. You want to inspect things, folks. You want to be the inspector with your spectacles, because there's a spectacle going on here. There's some sort of spectacle that you need to see. See what's going on there? Okay, and again, this is all in front of your faces. This is all, it's all there for you to see. Because it's all there for you to see, because we're actually vessels out on the stormy waters of life. And unfortunately, we haven't been taught how to navigate those waters. And we keep getting distracted by the sirens. Because the sirens in the old days, even though the police have the red, white, red, blue, if you know anything about colours, red, blue is the two colours that push us to the red spectrum, blue spectrum, puts us in a state of anxiety straight away. That's by design. It's all by design, folks. It's all to get you out of your centre. They're trying to remove you from your centre and get you into joiner contracts, incorporating in the world of the dead. In corpse. You're in corpse. You're a corpse oration. It's a corporation. A corpse is a dead entity. Oration in Latin is to speak. Corporations are dead entities speaking.
Norm, does that have anything to do with the pineal, the blue and the red and the blue flashing lights?
Aye.
Because it does something to do with, I know it's to do with the primary instinct.
Yeah, Richard,
and the way the brain works.
Richard, but they, spectroscopy, even science, they measure stars. The light that they measure is either the red shift or the blue shift.
Yeah.
It's fascinating stuff. So the microcosm is reflecting the macrocosm. If we understand that.
But I was hearing lately that America is an anagram for the I am race, and I was thinking of the flag
It is.
white and blue.
It is.
From red to blue, you know, like the flag colors are
Sure.
symbolic, aren't they?
Sure. The red, white, and blue, the land, the air, and the water. That's law. The land, the air, and the water. It's an acronym. Again, telling you what's going on. Once you understand how to decipher and decode this language, they've got to tell you what they're doing to you. It's caveat emptor, folks. Buyer beware. You think I'm selling apples? They're lemons. That's government. That's government out there selling their wares to you. Mind controlling you. And they'll use it through all sorts of, again, flowery, lovely language that you're not quite comprehending what's going on. As I said earlier on, with the beginning of the beginning of this process is through the birth. And it's very interesting. Birth is to be earth, actually. It's to be part of the earth. Birth is to be earth, part of the earth.
Is that not the maritime part, the E-R-T-H?
Yeah, sure. Again, the spellings will denote how you decode the word, okay? And again, the spellings can be deceptive because, again, the phonics will may determine not only the phonics but perhaps the accent as well, and whether there's a rise at the end of the word of that tone of that word, or a pitch, or I'm pitching something to you. Is it a pitch? What's the volume? Is the volume measured in unfathomable fathoms? Oh yeah, volume is measured in fathoms. That's why it's unfathomable. That's why you need a hearing, folks. Don't get caught. Don't get caught in this. Okay, so hopefully you're starting to see how this code is built into the language. It's duplicit by its nature. It's designed to get you into states of anxiety, states of confusion, states of division. It's designed to divide you and conquer you. Divide and conquer. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Dividers are the degrees. Compass is the measure to measure and rule. Again, telling you what you're doing.
So you don't have to play.
Sorry?
You don't have to play the game.
No.
You can choose not to. And if you get
No, but you could become a master of the game. Imagine that.
yeah. But you got to stop identifying with your form to be informed, as opposed from your centered place where you're inspired from.
Sure.
You come from a different place.
Sure.
You come from inspiration rather than information.
Sure, and you've all got this. So you've all got this, man. And you got the front row seats here, you guys. You all got front row seats to what's going on. That's pretty special, man. That's pretty special, folks. We're pretty lucky to be here.
Asked to be born in this time.
For sure, man. Like, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Once we awake, once we become the Awa Kings, the Awa Kings, the kings of the water, the awaking, We're awaking, aren't we? Aren't we awaking? Oh. So, okay, where will we go here? Righto, so, okay, birth. Okay, let's have a look at the world, the two different worlds that we're operating in. See now, as I said before, when you go to court, then you get a summons, don't you? You get a summons because they're summonings the dead, they're summonings the spirit. They want someone, flesh and blood, to get in there and put their hand up and say, yep, that's me. Okay, and you're getting duped through the sleight of hand and the smoke and mirrors of the birth registration, straw man entity, created corporate fictional entity that you think is you. It's not you. Okay, there's two different languages that are being operated in here. Over here, in this book here, in the Bible, if you want to buy bull, that's your choice. If you want to buy bull, that's your choice. Okay, but we can decipher the stuff and we can get down to the nitty gritty of it. But unfortunately, what's happened is we're getting booked in this law. This law is legislation. Okay, that's acts, statutes, rules, regulations where you need permits, applications, licenses. Let me give you some hints. The word application and the language that's spoken over here in the world of the dead, known as legalese, it's called legalese. The language over there is the language of the dead, and it's always going to get you into contracts. Over here we have the language of the living. And we want to stay alive all the time. And we're getting contract into the world of the dead through our own consent, through the language, and not comprehending what it is that's going on. And this is where, once you start to garner a little bit of knowledge and a few things that come out of legislation, which is this stuff over here, it's legislated, it's a rule, it's an act, it's a statute. Statutes don't move. Actors. That's why a judge wears a robe and a wig. He's acting. He's straight out magic, and he's just acting up there and playing the game, and they're telling you what they're doing to you. Okay, they're summoning the dead. They want someone who's alive and living. They want the living entity to put their hand up as the fictional entity, and that way they can salvage your vessel. And that's what they're doing. They're salvaging your vessels.
Norm, but just coming back to legion
Legion.
is legion. So we become legions as well.
Legion in Greek is to bind. Legions. The legions of Greek, the Greek armies, the legions.
Yeah, got it. Thought so. Thanks.
Leagues. If you measure water in leagues too, leagues of the sea. Legs. You got a legacy? Do you have a legacy? Ah. See, so what's going on? So we're being given at birth. Well, let's do that actually. I'll do that one. Let's just do that one just to hammer it home for you.
Do these lawyers and judges know what they're doing?
Some of them do, some of them don't. At a certain level, they all do. They all do at a certain level. They've got to. They do. They're all feeding off the juristic trough, folks, and you ain't going to get no justice in their halls of iniquity called chambers. In fact, they call them chambers. Okay. So all of this is to do with. It's all about commerce, folks. Over here, it's all about commerce. Okay. So when we're born, we are what's created is a vessel, if you like, okay? And it's a vessel that's given a name that looks like yours. You're given a Christian name, and it's actually a family name. It's often called your last name because your last name is the actual name that will be on your tombstone, which is the ledger. But anyway, getting a bit away from things there. That's for those that might want to look into this later, it's Capitis Diminutio Maxima. Look into that term there and you'll find out what that's about. So what they do is okay, in the language too, we have the capitals, yeah? The capitis. Capitis Diminutio Maxima, the term I just mentioned there, is whenever you get something set from the government, although they are getting a little bit tricky about these things these days, and they're slipping other ways to create joinder through their contracts, other than doing this, and that is writing your name in full capital letters. Full capital letters is capitis. It's capital punishment. It's the maximum cutting off of your rights. It's not you. Who writes their name in full capital letters? No one. No one does that. It's not you. That's the fictional straw man, dead corporate entity that's created at birth through your birth certificate, because in legalese, the definition of the word registration is a transfer of ownership. Registration in legalese means a transfer of ownership. And legalese, folks, is the language that the lawyers, the liars, the grammarians, the tricksters, the word tricksters are using to mar and confuse you, and confuse the scales of justice, and rob you of your sweat equity law. So we're being duped into this situation where we get the liars through their fraudulent contracts to summons the dead into court, and they represent us. Yeah, there's that re again. No one can represent you, folks. No one can represent you. You can only ever present yourself in the present, and that's a present, isn't it? And a present, very interestingly enough, is a gift. And the word gift is actually an acronym, not many people know, and it stands for Gamete Intra-Fallopian Tube.
Okay, hold on, say that again.
Gamete Intra-Fallopian Tube.
Beautiful.
Do you know what I mean? Birth. The gamete is the travelling forward. Intra is inside fallopian tube. The gamete inside the fallopian tube is the gift that puts you in the present. That's how that works. Okay, so now we've got you in the present, knowing that you're all gifted. See, the language is the gauge of the land. The language is the gauge of the land, folks. Gauge is a pledge. Gauge in Latin means to pledge, and you will recognise this maybe on the other end, the opposite end of the word mortgage. Mort means death, the mortuary. The mort is death, gauge is pledge. So your mortgage is a pledge of death. I've got to tell you what they're doing to you, okay?
So if we go to the Bill of Rights,
So
if we go to the Bill of Rights Act,
Yes,
Section 5,
yeah,
justifiable limitations, how do you impact that with your linguistics?
it doesn't work, does it?
No, it
No,
doesn't.
that's right. That's
It's
right.
term
Because,
notice.
and this is where we can start. You know, it is a game. This is a game that we're playing here, but it's a deadly game, folks, because it's extremely costly. Okay, it has value and it's worth something. But that is only something that you can judge yourselves, the cost, the value and the worth, because that's different for every individual here. And you have to draw your lines in the sand and pick up what patus or taiaha or weapons or whatever it is you need to defend yourself, because we're being attacked. They're telling us what they're doing. Because they send out a war rant, don't they, when they want to summons you at court?
War rants.
They rant about the war. They're out there war ranting. Hey, come and get it. Come and get your justice. Step right up. And this is what's happening. We're getting caught, all right? We're getting caught by the short and curlies. And in the old days, when you would go up there, when you go up there, this is where the word testimony comes from. As if you were in the court of public opinion, in a common law court, in the court of public opinion, and the court thought you were lying, your balls were on the table, and some guy with the handle went whack! Yeah, that's right, that's your testimony. You were moaning when your testicles got whacked. That's where that comes from. So you didn't lie. You didn't want to lie. You wanted to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because your balls were on the line, and that's where these terms come from. I'm not sure what they do with the females, I think they just burnt them at the stake. Actually, through the language, they denigrate you guys totally by giving you the prefix of fee, which is iron, and they miss you right out, don't they? They miss you. Is that Miss? Miss Smith, is it? Oh, Miss Smith out. It's denigration in the language. So this is another thing you've got to be aware of. There's lots of negativity, negative vibrations that are built within the language that keep our our mental and energetic levels on a low vibrational frequency. And as soon as we can start to command the temples are called temples for a reason. This is your temple. That's your church. Churches are Scottish. Scottish, I think, old Scottish. Kirk is church. And interestingly enough, just a bit of a side note, the Vatican has it's at least a 70% stake in most of the observatories on the globe. So they are very interested in the stars, okay? So just as a interesting synergy maybe, is that we have Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise, Kirk being church, the Starship, they're very interested in the stars and what's going on. They're very observant of these things. And it's of the ship called the Enterprise. And what's an enterprise? Oh, it's a business. An enterprise is a business. So again, through slight smoke of mirrors, deceptionals, magic, the magi, to get you looking over here, while the real trick's going on over there, the sleight of hand, the con, that's the con, isn't it? That's the con job. And the con jobs the con jobs that we're getting conscripted into recently. The conspiracy, folks. It's a bunch of cons in the process of piracy. They're telling you what they're doing. It's a bunch of cons in the process of piracy. They're there to liquidate your ships and your vessels, yes.
But what can we do?
What can you do? You can comprehend this stuff, and you can, I've got some acts and some statutes. You can go and look at your Bill of Rights and you can study that. You can go and look at your human rights and you can study that, because those are your taiahas. Those are your patus, those are your bullets, those are the ammunitions in your belt. You need as much ammunition in your belt as you can get.
But they pop Section 5 into the Bill of Rights for that reason, so that they can justify limitations with everything. So that's what I've come for tonight, hoping you'll unpack that for us.
Well,
Because I mean, that's just such an ambiguous term, Section 5, isn't it? It's kind of meaningless.
that's right, it's ambiguous.
Yeah, but that's
So what is it?
It's
And it's
meaningless,
Babylonian.
meaningless and ambiguous, which means that they can use whatever linguistics they want to work for them.
That's right.
But it's still...
Guess what?
Mhm.
So can you.
Absolutely.
Okay?
What is
So
it?
once we start defining the terms and the definitions of the words and the contracts that we are entering into, there's no room for any other discretions. There's lots of room for breach, because the terms and conditions are yours. You've drawn your lines in the sand.
Yes.
You know, what can you do? You inform yourself. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, folks, because it's the knoll that we know is the hill that you stand on, folks. And when you stand on the hill, you can see farther. Even though you're on Papatūānuku, you can see farther.
But we don't have a constitution in New Zealand, which means it's quite dangerous grounds for us. Versus in the States, they have a constitution, which means all states, all 52 states, have to vote to change the law. Our government has got huge amounts of power because we have no constitution.
You know what constitutions are for? Who are constitutions for?
The government.
The government.
That's right, they're not for us.
No, well, that's right.
That's
here,
right.
So here we are. We can do 360 on this, but they still have written everything in law that they can do it. They're a dangerous amount of power that this government has.
Why? Why do you think that is?
Well, we know why it is. It's all by design. We know that.
Because you gave it to them.
Yeah, because we've
Well, I
allowed
don't
Because you
personally
keep-
have inherited it.
Did you register to vote?
Yes,
Did you register your car?
yes.
Have you gone and got a permit? Have you got a licence?
Yeah, but
Every time you do that, what you're doing is reconfirming the contract, the joined contract with a deed entity that you have with the government. Every time you're doing that, you're giving them the power. You're saying, yep, I'm a deed entity, come and rape me.
Start the new world.
That's what you're doing. You're opening, you're Your vessel's open for salvage on the high seas, folks, and you're being shipwrecked. You're actually being made insolvent because your liquidity is being drawn off. Where do you find banks? Sides of the rivers, great. What do banks on the sides of the rivers do?
Contain water.
Contain the water.
Make the current flow.
That's right.
The current, they control, the banks on the sides of the rivers control the current to the sea. The current sea. The banks control the current sea, which is the liquidity. It's the liquidity, which is the solution. Because liquid's a solution. And that's when the government stands up there and says, we're going to find a solution. He's just telling you, I'm going to fucking tax you more. Thanks guys. I got the solution. Vote for me.
Just going back,
You want someone to blame, folks? I mean, seriously, you've got to go and look in the mirror. You've got to lift the game. You've really got to start picking the game up, man, because we're being raped, pillaged and plundered. Yes, sir.
in terms of the Bill of Rights
Yes.
in New Zealand,
Yes.
it's littered with the word person.
Yes,
And
indeed.
We're told that that's a fictional.
Corporate entity. Okay, if you go in legalese and law dictionary, if you go and look up the word legalese, which is, person, I'm not sure it's in that one. That's only a New Zealand Butterworth Law Dictionary. It's not a definitive dictionary, it's just a general dictionary like something you get in school for your English. It's not the real English. Anyway,
And it's one of the only acts that isn't bound by the Crown. Well, the Crown's not bound to.
that's right, these acts, that's right, most of the acts, there's only a couple there that it states quite clearly in the legislation, this act binds the Crown. Are you the Crown? No? See you later with your legislation.
And how about the law referring to
You've
the
got no...
person?
Sorry?
You said that it's all about the person.
Yeah, okay, so the person, okay. So person, are you a personage? Are you a person of age? Is that your personage? Person, again, is another Latin word, comes from persona, which means mask. Isn't that appropriate in this time? The word person means mask. Now, in legalese, okay, it's got another definition, and this is the thing you'll find, folks. Excuse me. When they say, you've got to abide by the rules of New Zealand and the laws of New Zealand. I say, which New Zealand is that, officer? Is that the geographical landmass commonly known as New Zealand? Or is that the registered company on the US Securities Exchange Commission under the name Her Majesty and Queen and Right of New Zealand? So every time you see the word New Zealand written in full capital letters, that's a corporation, it's not the landmass. That's a fictional entity that they're rape, pillaging and plundering your straw man entities with. And they're having a ball. So personage, persona is your persona. Okay, it's like character, it's a caricature, it's not you. It's not you, it's a persona. And that's how they get you. Again, they get you into these joined contracts through you not comprehending the language that's being used. And you think, oh yeah, I'm a person, I'm a good person. Who here thinks they're a good human being? Go look up Ballantyne's dictionary from 1930, it tells you that the word human means monster. And it's all, I think I've got that one there on the handout. So again, they're telling you what they're doing to you. They're labelling you, they're denigrating you, they're subjugating you, and they're telling you what they're doing. And you keep voting for it. Democracy. What did, I love what Mark Twain said about democracy. He said, it wasn't Winston Churchill. He said, the greatest argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. That's how good your democracy is. And he knew. And it was Mark Twain that said this too, actually. He said, the oppressed are allowed every few years to choose from the oppressors who shall oppress and subjugate them for the next few years. And this is why it doesn't matter who sits in the seat of power in that government, man. It's still mind control and they're still speaking lies. It doesn't matter. It's a company, it's a corporation, it's a CEO. It's actually called the executor, isn't it? Isn't he the executor?
Chief executive.
Oh no, he's the executor.
Oh.
He's the executor, not the executor. So you change the accent on that word just a little bit and it'll tell you what's going on. It'll show you the flip side, the live side and the dead side. Because this language that we're using is duplicit by its nature and it's designed, as I say, to create joinder with the world of the dead. That's why the Bible was trying to raise, Jesus was trying to raise the dead. That's what that story is about. Is you taking back your birthright, standing up for who you are, and instead of being ill under all these be ills, you need to be invoiced, folks. You need to start invoicing these people. You need to start invoicing these people.
How?
Standing up for your rights, knowing your rights, questioning your MPs. Like
You don't return your calls or emails though.
doesn't matter. Doesn't
does.
matter. It
Exactly.
doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter. We start flooding their offices with enough information. As kings, being as kings in the Quest Ion, it's the Quest Ion. Your question is the Quest Ion. The ions are your energy. We're all on the quest, and we want to be as kings. So we need to start taking control of our vessels. We need to start learning this is a game. Anyone here play chess?
Yeah.
What's the first move in a game of chess, generally?
Pawns.
Pawns? How about putting your pieces on the board? How about putting your pieces on the board and knowing how all that works? And this is what's going on. We haven't even got our pieces on the board. We're still floundering around in pieces of paper and fraudulent contracts that are contracting and constricting us, because that's what contracting is. It's there to close us down. Yes.
Could you then give us some practical applications?
What do we do with parking tickets?
A practical application is just exercising your human rights, standing up for yourself and speaking out. And there's a really good word that we need to learn. It's called no. It's called no, folks. And this will come back down. See what's happening? It's beautiful. I love this era. I love this time. For me, it's really, really exciting because it's all about being revolting, eh? We're all revolting, aren't we? See again, they label us with denigrating terms. We're all revolting, aren't we? We don't like the guy. We're revolting against them.
The problem is,
Occupying.
we're blaming somebody else. We're blaming it outside ourselves.
That's right.
Because according to
That's right. This is what I'm hoping you're trying to garner. I'm trying to impart to you that you have the power. You've got the power, folks. You really have. And they're in your Bill of Rights. They're in your United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. They're there in the Magna Carta. They're there in the Hei Whakaputanga, the Declaration of Independence of New Zealand, of Aotearoa, Nutarini. It's all there, folks. We've got it. We've got the tools. All we need to do is pick them up. Pick them up and say, hey, wait a minute. I have a few questions.
So why they want to tell us all of this in this way? Why?
Because they have to. Because again, if I tell
Why
you,
they have to?
because it confers consent. It confers
So
consent.
why they need our consent?
So they can
Because then there's no karma. There's no karma. If I tell you, mate, I'm coming around your house, I'm eating all your food, I'm stealing your TV and driving away in your car, in lovely flowery language that you don't quite understand, mate, you've given your consent because you're not objecting. And you haven't even got pieces on the board for them to hear you. I'm not trying to get you something.
So the duality is
But
important.
you understand what I'm saying, folks?
The duality's got to have to be there.
That's right.
For the game to
That's
play.
right. There's two worlds, the living and the dead, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
the two worlds,
So
the
they
two
can't
jurisdictions.
always-
Ultimately, those are the only two jurisdictions there are, folks. The living and the dead. Yes,
In regards to voting,
yes.
if we voted no confidence rather than not vote, what do you think of that? Oh, teacher?
Thought that might come up. Okay, so this is a letter from a guy over in Golden Bay, Wedge Turner. Now this was too, like recently folks, we've seen how the government has just sidelined 60 out of 67 councils and gone ahead and done what they're going to do anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to do what they're going to do anyway until such time as you stand up and you put your foot in the sand and you draw your lines and say, here's my terms and conditions, come on over. Come on over. So anyway. So this is this letter is called Power to Change. It's a few years old now. But this pretty much sums up nicely, better than I could. So he says, I wish to respond to the letter from Albert Smithson in the Tasman Leader, May 26. I'm not sure what year this one was, but years ago. I'm sure when a candidate offers service to represent ratepayers, in the government, MPs, all that sort of stuff, on the TDC, which is Tasman Council, their motivation to change direction and serve their electorate is sincere and willing. Whilst we request them to serve our wants and needs and truly represent us, alas, they fell prey to the bureaucracy. They become servants of the system and not able to serve the ratepayer. Anyway, this is because on election to the office of a councillor, they have to take a declaration, which virtually prevents them serving ratepayers. This declaration binds them to obey a number of acts. These acts are Local Government Act of 2002, the Government Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act. They'll never represent you. They can never represent you. Doesn't matter who you vote, doesn't matter how hard you vote, even if you vote harder, you vote harder. It's doing nothing, folks. You're wasting your time.
Even if you put a protest vote, like you just go and get your
You've
vote.
already registered your name, haven't you?
So you've already...
You're already created a joinder. You're already agreed to do... See, by doing that, you're agreeing to everything they're doing because you're agreeing to represent you. No one can represent you. Okay? Now, Tim Skinner even came to one of our meetings on a Tuesday night, and he got in there. Man, I pissed me off. And he even said, "Oh, you voted for her.
Yeah.
You voted for her." And that is the contempt that these people have for you. They don't give a shit about you. They can't hear you. They can't see you. You mean nothing to them because you have no pieces on the board.
But someone will always vote, which means that your non-vote is a non-voice.
Okay.
Does that, no?
Okay.
No. And look, folks, seriously, democracy is rule. Demo is loud noise. So the loudest noises rule. Where does that put your minorities? If we live in a system where 51% of the people get to rule the other 49, you've got 49% of the population disgruntled. How does that work? It doesn't, and we see that. We've seen that for the last 150 odd years. Do you think the elite vote? Do you think Bill Gates goes down there and votes, folks? Why not? Because he knows it doesn't matter. You're being played with. You're being gamed, folks.
Yeah.
You're being...
Can you deregister?
Sorry?
Can you deregister?
Deregister? Yeah. Yeah, you can.
How?
Okay. Okay, on the back sheet... What's the time?
How many more days you got?
I have actually, yeah, I have actually, because there's a few other people that were interested that couldn't make it tonight, so I might actually book the hall is available again next Monday night, I think, so I might do the same next Monday night.
Well, I hope you're going to send us home with some homework.
Yeah, go home, look at the Bill of Rights, go home, look at legislation. As far as, I've got a good one in there, the 1988 Application Laws Act. It states quite clearly. Okay, so I didn't actually even get into common law in legislation. So I've got some things in there that clearly show that the common law is recognised in legislation. Okay, and there's a letter floating around. I'm trying to find. I can't find it. Maybe on my files or hard drives or something. But I've got a letter from Chris Finlayson when he was the police chief, quite clearly stating that common law is recognised and as a foundational law here in New Zealand. So common law is still there, man. Just need to pick it up. Just pick up that button. Pick it up. Natural law, common law, and it's common. It's inherent. Is love. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, that's my last one there actually. Hey, yeah, if anyone hasn't got one, just leave your emails in that book at the front there, and there may be some other things I've actually forgot to put in that I can flick out to you all as well. So
how do we register? How do we deregister?
How do we what?
Deregister.
Be logistic.
Deregister.
Oh, sorry, deregister.
Deregister.
there is, okay, in the back page of that I've given you some resources. One is Truth and Sovereign, which is Bob the Second's page. Now they've got a process, and it's really good affidavit. Affidavits in law, there's certain maxims of law too that we probably should have gone over, but anyway. As a maxim of law, an uncontested affidavit stands as truth in law. Okay, so people in public offices who are agents of the Crown or acting in a third-party capacity, they have oaths. They will have an oath, and an oath for the layman, the equivalent, is an affidavit. Okay, so that's our process of when we want to make a statement, we make a statement to the police, if we want to go there, as an affidavit. Okay, so it's a statement of truth. Now, a statement of truth, a lot of things have changed over the last decade. I did this process. I did this process over a decade ago when I first came back from Japan, and it's a 4-step process. Actually, I want to give you that other one too. I'll just do that. Hopefully, I'll remember what that was. So there's a process, okay, and it comes under. It's called an affidavit. I might have put that actually in there as one of the terms to look up. Actually, I think I did too. D-A-V-I-T, I think it is, affidavit, so O-L or O-T, and this is an affidavit of life or an affidavit of truth. Now these documents that that are being put together and have been formulated to re-establish yourselves as a living as a living being, as a living being, and somewhat recognised in the system. They'll give you that. They'll give you a full stop. Anyway, so this is a process: affidavit of life and an affidavit of truth, which is a process, and it's usually a 4-part document, and it's a kind of a notice, notice of intent, intents and understandings. Okay, there's a bit of controversy about that term too, standings. Okay, so understanding in legalese comes from, or another definition of the word understanding, because when the cop's on the side of the road or whatever and you're being hassled, he will read you your Miranda rights and they will say, da, 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 do you understand? And you go, oh yeah, I know I should have been doing 60 games, 50 games, whatever. And you say, yeah, I understand. Straight away you create a joinder. Okay, you created a contract, you contracted yourself again with a straw man entity that's open for salvage. And this is why you are bound to the rules and regulations that are presented as benefits and privileges of the system. This is again the sleight of hand that's going on with the system. Now everything that is out there, folks, is yours by right. It's yours by right, because I'll tell you how that works too, because even the legal definition, actually it's not even legal definition, I think it's just the normal common English, the Queen's English, oh, I've got my word, what's that? No, I've lost it. It's gone. Queen's English. That wasn't very nice. Understand, thank you, that's what it was, understand. So the definition of understand was actually to stand under, and it comes back from the old days in the Greeks when they were going to build a structure or something, or create something. They would get down into the foundation and they would stand under and look back upon the framework that they were going to place the construction upon to ensure that it would withstand that which they were going to put upon it. Okay, so long way around, the word means to stand under. So again, when a cop says, da, 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 do you understand? And you say, yeah, I understand. What the communication is, do you stand under my jurisdiction? And you're saying yes.
Can you reverse that to, say, an employer? So you say that to your own employer, do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, it's contextual, because there are certain things you definitely do want to understand. You want to understand your Bill of Rights. You want to understand the United Nations Declaration of Man's Rights. See, with this character God, he only made one character, didn't he?
He made man. He made the family of man. Mankind. Kind is to kindle. Kindle is heart, warmth. The hearth is to kindle. That's where these words come from. This is where we get to. So God created mankind. And then he created the womb of man. He created woman, who's the womb of man. And this is why all ships of the sea are called she, because they are vessels that are in the operation of carriage of goods. Cargo, carriage of goods, product, something's arriving. Actually, that's what I was doing. But I might go on to this here, just to explain this affidavit of life, affidavit of truth. This is your claim of right. This is under another document under a semi-umbrella heading called your claim of right. And so what you're doing is, this is your notice back to them saying, right mate, I've had enough of this. I've found out some information and I've got a few questions and this is how I'm going to present them. So, it's your notice of intents and understandings. Okay, my intentions and understandings align with the highest powers out there. God. Because God said don't kill, don't steal and don't deceive. Now they're easy rules, I can adhere to those. I'm quite happy with those. Lawyers, no way. They got books from the ceiling to the floor and they're just practicing. I'm not really even slightly interested in that. I don't want them practicing on me. So my understandings that we are creatures of God and that we're all blessed creatures and divine individuals, and we have the gift of divinity and we can express it in any way we want to, and we have sovereign individual rights and determinations. And those end exactly where others begin. Your rights, your determinations, your sovereignty, that ends where others begin. And these are the lines that we need to, these are the lines that we build together. That's the area that we get to create in, folks. And that's beautiful, because like, I haven't got all the answers. No one here's got all the, no one's ever going to have all the answers. In fact, I tell you now, there's never going to be an answer. You will, in fact, you'll never ever get the answer.
It's about the journey.
The journey is about the journey, that's right.
About the journey.
That's right.
And that's what we're here on this planet.
That's what we're cultivating.
That's actually,
Because
we're
we're
here at
creators
this
and
time
gardeners.
for the journey. Yeah.
Waking up.
So part of that claim of right, your notice of understanding, you know, your intentions are, of course, no harm, no injury, and your understandings that God's a high power and I'm going to listen to my Father. Pretty easy, pretty simple stuff. Number two is denial of consent. This is very, very powerful, because on the police website, as many of you might know now, because it's becoming, it's really great, this information is becoming a lot more accessible to people, and people are showing a lot more interest in it. I actually have a couple of other friends who are going to other common law meetings tonight as well, so it's really inspiring.
Yeah.
It really is encouraging. So denial of consent to be governed. Of course you don't want to be controlled. Denial of consent to be governed. And that's quite clear. You're just saying, look, I don't want to be governed. I don't need your laws, your rules, your regulations, your acts, your statutes, your permits, your licences. I don't need it. I don't need it anymore. I know God's laws. It's not simple. I'm not going to kill anyone. I'm not going to steal anyone's shit. I'm not out here to deceive anybody. In fact, I want what's best for you. I want what's best for you. And in fact, I'm out here doing this because I want you guys to understand this stuff, because I feel safer. Because you guys understanding this stuff makes me feel safer. Instead of me down here, you know, mining away as the author, because it's gold. The author's AU's first two letters of gold. And kin in Japanese is gold as well. Very interesting. To kindle. So author. So we want to be the authors of our right. That's how you become the authority. The author of the writ. The writer. The commander of the pen. Power of the pen, folks. So, denial of consent to be governed. So you don't want to be governed, you don't need to be governed, you understand. You have understandings and intentions that cause no harm, no injury. You're going to treat other people with respect and dignity, and you know, even if they don't treat you that way, you still operate in your own mana, and no one else can do that for you. Number three is intention, understanding, don't consent to be governed. There's another part of that. Governs. Your fee schedule is another one. The fee schedule. Okay, if I go to see someone who consider themselves to be a professional, which means that they're professing something, doesn't it? It's interesting couple of words for you. Job is a Hebrew word. It means deceived or deceit. Okay, so you go to your job, telling you what you're doing. They're telling you what they're doing to you. Another word that they call you is the employer or employment. M at the front of English words is for. M is for. Ploy is deceit. Ment is the mind. Again, they're telling you what they're doing to you. They've got to tell you what they're doing to you because it then confers your consent if you say nothing and do nothing and don't opt. Sorry?
I was faded out. Can you repeat that one again?
Employ. So M at the starts of words means for. Like for example, to empower.
Yeah.
Hopefully this knowledge will empower you. Okay, so that's for your power. So M is for. Ploy in the English language is deceit. And ment, again, as I say, is mind. Or if you want to go with the, it is actually Latin, but you could use the French. French and Latin often, they have many interchangeable words as well, dialects. Dialect. Lexicon. It's called a lexicon, folks. They're telling you what they're doing to you. Okay, so your fee schedule. So if I go to see a professional or a doctor or anyone like that, of course their time, because it ties me to this and ties me to that. The time, that's what time does, tie me. And we get appointment with our timing to this, timing to that. And we get second, don't we? We get second and made minute. See, these are the words of time. Second, minute, minute, tick tock, tick tock. So, fee schedule. So if I go to see someone, their time's worth money, and they're going to charge me. Just like war, they charge you up, and just like the court, they like to charge you, and they tell you it's fine because they give you a ticket. Oh, I've got a ticket. Oh, if it was fine, I've been charged up. And then you get a conviction. Now, in this day, we've got to have conviction, don't we? Hey, it's good to have a bit of conviction, isn't it, folks? So we've got to be convicts. We've got to be convicts and be vigilant. We've got to be vigilant.
You could be charged for having this many people in the room.
Vigilant and ask why. Stop that. Actually, you're banned. So we've got to be vigilant and ask why. And continue to ask why. Be as kings and as queens. Away king. Kings of our ships and our vessels, being commanders, becoming masters. That's why the centre of the ship is the mast. It's the master of the ship. And when your ship's in trouble, you keel over. There's lots of language, again, that reinforces these two things. I haven't even got into the Admiralty jurisdictional banking aspect of it as far as the commerciality, the dolan, Latin word means pain. Go out and earn. An urn is a vessel that the dead ashes are in. And you like to wage. You get a wage, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, because you're in a suit. You see, in your lawsuit. That's why you have a collar and cuffs and your ties. Collars, cuffs, ties. Slaves wear those things. Come on, folks. They're telling you what they're doing. It's a suit. It's a lawsuit. Is that a lawsuit they might be wearing? They're telling you what they're doing. They've got it. I've got to tell you what I'm doing.
Does this Admiralty business go back to the skull and crossbones?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's all piracy. That's right. Piracy. It's the great. In fact, it's the great cons piracy. Because what's piracy, folks? It's rape, pillage, and plunder. What do we see happening around us, folks? Rape, pillage, and plunder. That's because our ships are open for salvage. We're vessels on the open sea, and we're just being salvaged at the moment. We're being liquidated, in fact. Because our liquidity, our worth, our quid, 10 quid, 15 quid, is their liquid again, the solution, the money is being liquidated. and we become insolvent. Solvents again, liquids. What's the other ones? The ripple effect. You know, tsunami, financial tsunami. Again, they're telling you it's all about liquidity and the solution, because the money's the solution, isn't it, folks? It always gets back to money being the solution. Of course it is. It's liquidity. It's liquid. It's the currents that go to the sea. It's the currency. And what's current?
There's under the law there of Kami you're talking about, they talk about the law of balance or the law of consequence. The balance stays, it's still got to stay balanced, even though we polarise at either ends of
Sure.
the scale.
Sure.
But it'll always stay balanced. But the key is actually to get out of that, duality completely, and then you go into it from your centre. See what I mean? As I say,
Okay.
you go into the kingdom of God. You go into it. First, seek the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
And the kingdom of God is within.
It's not out there. If you don't go within, you will go without, folks. If you don't go within, you will go without. It can look not so pretty sometimes once you start to
When you come out from
unveil
there,
things.
everything's out of you, so you're control of the dualistic world.
Well, you are the master in any respect.
So it's about taking personal responsibility.
Indeed it is. You have
like,
all
who's
we.
going to lead me? Who's going to fix it?
That's
who's
right.
Gonna,
It's
which is what we've
start out
become.
disempowering yourself,
Right.
denying your own power
And that's what we've become as
by
a
looking to
society.
others to do shit for you.
Mm.
No way, folks, it just doesn't work like that. We're not going to get anywhere until you all start individually picking up your vibration. Yes.
And when we start to do this, we then have to be prepared to.
Look, mate, once we start doing this, it dissolves anything else. Nothing can touch up. Nothing can touch you. Once you start to really comprehend this information and this power, you're not afraid of anything anymore. I used to go looking for police checkpoints. Let's go looking for them. Oh, where are they tonight? No, have a bit of fun. Sure, I've had a lot of fun with this stuff over the years. I've been thrown in jail. I've been arrested. I used to sit for hours in the court. I used to just go to court and sit in the public gallery to observe what's going on. And even just doing that, folks, I dare you to go down to court one day on a Thursday and just have a look at a few proceedings in the court and just see for yourselves, folks. Seriously, it's not pretty.
But we have to be prepared to go there if we.
Oh, I just meant sitting in
rebel.
public. I just meant.
No, but if we rebel, if we say no rates, no, we go allodial, we're not paying fines, we're not doing this, we have to be prepared that
That's right.
is going to.
You have to be convicted to your word.
Yes.
You have to have conviction.
Yeah.
And no one can do that for you. And so, sorry.
You have to have the right words to do that though, right?
Yes.
You have to know what words to say to the authorities.
Sure, sure. I mean, look, your biggest remedy is that right there. As soon as you ask a few questions, you can dissolve any kind of assumed or presumed joinders or contracts, or you can dissolve anything. Seriously, you know.
Have you travelled to Japan?
Sorry?
Have you travelled to Japan and back with exactly that, without any papers, just going?
No. No, I haven't. No. No. Okay. You know, it even irks me to say it to myself. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite because I have to be. I'm a hypocrite because I'm in a society where I know all this stuff. I know all this stuff, but I still have to use money. And as long as I still have to use money, man, I'm in the system. Whether you like it or not. Because at this particular stage in our mental evolution, we're not quite capable of moving past money yet. We're getting there. Money's extremely fascinating thing. Money, or the medium of the transfer of value between human beings is changing, and it's fascinating to observe. Like 1,000 years ago, they only had gold nuggets. And that's how banking started. Do you understand how fractional reserve banking all started? Yeah. In the old days when Joe had the biggest safe in town and everyone would go put their gold in Joe's bank, and then he soon realised that no one ever come and draw all their gold out, so he started borrowing some of that gold out to other people, or writing receipts. Actually, that's what money is. Money is just a receipt. The word receipt is Old English. It means record of deceit. And Again, telling you what they're doing, telling you what's going on. So that's how we're getting again conscripted into these fraudulent joiner contracts, and you know, once we start to learn, see, because all the stuff is code. It's all code because they tell you it's code, don't they? They tell you about the drinking code, and the driving code, and the firearms code. They're telling you it's code, folks. So what do we have to do with code?
Decipher.
We have to decipher, don't we? We have to decipher the
norm.
Otherwise we get caught in a lullaby, which is quite a look at you. But so we have to decipher the codes, and we need keys. And if we look at the anagram for keys, with the K being silent, we get yes, because it opens doors. Because that's what it does. Keys open doors, and then we become open. Did I do that? Have I got time to do that? I've got time to do that. Okay, I might do that one too. There's something else here that's bugging me. There's something else that goes here. Understand his intent, and I specifically govern.
What's number 4?
He needs another board.
Yeah, something else that goes there. Okay. Hopefully that'll come through. So over here with these 4 I want to remember about is, okay, so we're getting into everything and anything that is sent to you, that you receive or is being offered to you as a contract, right? It's a contract. And so you have unlimited, one of the maxims, we have unlimited ability to contract as living human beings, or not to contract. So there are 4 ways that we can deal with offers, that things are being offered, whether it's a parking ticket, whether it's bills from the council, whether it's rates, whether it's anything. It's all a contract, okay? It's all an offer. They're presenting you with an offer. Oh, here you go, here's what we're going to do, and this is what we think you owe, and da-da-da-da-da. Okay? So you have unlimited power to be able to contract back with them or deny contract. See, contracts are negotiable, folks. All contracts are negotiable. And this is what happens, right? We sit at home and we'll get a letter from the bank and they're saying, oh, we've changed the terms and conditions. And you'll think, oh, yeah. And they'll say, oh, you don't have to do anything, da-da-da. And you say, oh, yeah, great. But they've just gone and robbed you of another 20% of your money or da-da-da like that. So this is how they do it. They do it because...
What would happen if you just write back no in 2 capital letters?
Wow. Well, that's right. This is what you were saying. This is what you can do. I mean, this is what, there was incidents of a guy in, I think it was UK, who was getting sent all sorts of contracts from credit card companies. Officer this, we'll loan you this much. So what he did is he went and he got the copy of the contract. He rewrote the terms and conditions saying unlimited credit, no interest rates, forever to pay back, sent it back to them. 2 or 3 weeks later, he got a credit card from that company in the mail. And because they didn't read the contract that he had sent back to them, those terms and conditions stood for that card. Now they reached an out-of-court settlement.
I wonder why.
That's right. And that's how this, folks, you will never hear, you will rarely hear of any wins in the court. You rarely hear of any, don't you? Yeah, lots of dismissals, lots of acquittals. You know, lots of charges dropped. Go and look into those. Go and look into those particular outcomes and see what processes were in behind them, folks. See what remedies those people, what taiahas or patus those people were picking up in their defence, in their self-defence. So that's what this is all about. It's about self-defence because we're under attack. And again, they tell us because they're ranting about war. They love those war rants. Yep. There are a bunch of cons in the process of piracy, which is rape, pillage and plunder, and unfortunately due to our ignorance and actually another aspect that they play on with us as human beings is they play on our compassion. That system plays on our love and our compassion and our genuine empathy for other human beings. That system is designed to siphon all that stuff away from us. Yeah. But guess what? We let it.
Just like the jab, eh?
And you can stop letting that stuff happen. And it's by being conscious and aware of this stuff, of the spellings, of the medium of communication that we've been given, that is so full of holes that it's designed to keep us in the states of disagreement and agitation and anxiety. And you know, always we have that thing, there's something not quite right. I can't put my finger on it. Knock knock.
That aspect where they tell us
Yes.
what they're doing,
Yes.
which is tied to karma as they understand it.
Sure. Every action has the opposite equal reaction.
Right, right.
It's karma. That's.
But it also speaks to me of people who, like, if they want you to know, it's because they don't want to take any responsibility at all for what they're doing.
Damn straight.
Because at the root of that is fear.
Yes.
So
They fear us.
That's right.
They fear us.
That's what we've been told for a long time, eh? All those movies you see where the underdog gets up there and he wins and the people finally stand up. Mate, once we stand together, man, or once you stand up, as individuals, in your full capacities, living, breathing, sentient beings, man, we're unstoppable. Passports is to port the pass, to pass the port. Pass the port and I'll have a drink with you, mate.
How would you get away with that one?
Sorry?
How would you get away?
Okay, a long time ago when I was looking into this, there's a guy called Arthur Menard. Now he was the man who spearheaded and was the guru of the free man movement, or free man on the land movement, which was came out of Canada a long time ago. He's kind of the guy that I was following a long time ago. What he actually did is he offered to the embassy of the country he's going into a bond of $20,000. I'll give you 20 grand, I'm only in your country for 3 days, do a couple of workshops and presentations and that, and I'm gone again. And that was his bond. And they accepted that. They accepted his bond to go in there, do his workshop and go, and if he caused any trouble, of course he lost his bond, and they kicked him out. So a negotiation. Negotiation's powerful, folks. It's unlimited. It's powerful stuff, seriously.
So fear is the energy they use the most anyway.
Yes, fear and intimidation. I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to do that to you. Okay, right. Wait a minute.
So sorry, can I just ask, because given probably a lot of us are here because of what's happening with people being mandated or told to
Okay.
get a vaccine,
Sure.
otherwise they won't have a job.
Sure. Okay, let me finish this actually. Let me
Yeah.
finish this because I'll have an answer to that. Okay, so when there's anything that's been presented to you, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. There's 4 ways you can deal with it. We want to stay in honour. As truthful, living, honest, open, caring beings, we want to stay in honour. So we can argue if we want to deny the claim that's being made against us. We can argue. I can argue the fact, but there's no point in arguing, folks. What you're doing is giving your energy to the other side. All you're doing is feeding them when you argue. Stop arguing. There's no need to argue. What you're doing is feeding the other side of it. Okay, you can agree. You can agree to what's going on. Now, I would be very cautious about agreeing because often there are other, what are they called? There are other implied contracts and expressed contracts, okay? And these are, again, 2 different types of worlds we're living in. The express contract is an open one. The implied is by you filling out your licence, you're bound by all these rules and regulations. That's implied. Okay, so that's how that works, implied and expressed. So you can agree, but I wouldn't even go ahead with agreeing on these things. And the other thing is you can remain silent and you can say nothing. But then there's a maximum law that if I accuse you of doing this, that and the other and you say nothing, you've agreed. Again, it's like me saying I'm coming around your house, I'm stealing all your shit, I'm taking your TV and I'm out of here in your car.
Excuse me, Norm.
Yes.
I've recently replied to the police because they sent me summons and they sent me things and that I sent back as defective.
Yeah.
And so I sent them all back as defective
Contracts of negotiation, that's all they are.
they were using the wrong name and all that sort of thing. So I stood in my power, sent it all back as defective. They sent me another letter about 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
And I've just ignored it. So
Don't ignore
being silent to
them.
that,
Don't
is
ignore
that a
them.
problem?
Yes, silence is acquiescence. Don't ignore them. When they're making a claim against you, silence is acquiescence. There are other times when you want to remain silent, okay?
So I need
so
to
that,
reply.
again, it's a contextual maxim. It should be applied in certain conditions. And most of that time is when a claim or a contract is being presented.
So I need to reply again as defective. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And put on the document fraud detected.
Fraud detected.
Yeah, just put fraud
yeah.
detected.
Yes. Yeah,
That usually scares them.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I did with the last one.
Yeah, because there's fraud. They're trying to siphon off real value from a dead entity. And dead entities are dead, that they can't give you nothing. See that? See how that works? This is why when you're not in voice, you're without breath. When you're not in voice, you're without breath. And so you can't garner any volume. And so you're not going to get a hearing. So you've got to be in voice. And the knowledge is the power. And once you pick it up and start applying it, like I say, man, your Bill of Rights says, I've got things in that. There's a few things there that are trump cards. And once you learn how to apply these things and stand in your mana and your honour and in truthfulness and continually asking questions in the quest I on, as kings and queens, masters of your ships and your vessels out on the high seas, trying not to get shipwrecked by the sirens. Mima, mima, mima. The sirens were the maidens who would distract the captains on their vessels and cause them to get shipwrecked on the rocks. Exactly as when you're driving on the road, which is a, go look up the legal definition of a road, folks. Roads are shipping lanes. Okay, that's why you have a left lane and a right lane. That's why you have islands in the middle of your roads. They're shipping lanes. Okay, when you're in an automobile, no, when you're in a vehicle, you are operating in commerce on the road. And this is again another tricky way that they get us into joinder. A police officer will say to you, oh, you're driving at 70k and 50k zone. I say, no, officer, actually I'm travelling. I'm not a driver, because the legal definition of the word driver is someone partaking in commerce on the road. No, I'm operating in private automobile, and it's an automobile because it gives you autonomous mobility, which is recognised under your Bill of Rights Act and your United Nations Declaration of Human Rights as well. Freedom of right to movement, folks, you've got it. Pretty simple, it's right there, pick it up and use it. Okay, there's a bit of a trick there too. With the registration of your vehicles, because, and I've got both my vehicles are registered as non-commercial ambulances. Now the reason that is, and I've had several vehicles I've done this to, and many people are doing this now too. And the reason we're able to do that is because it is the only option that is given to you under your vehicle registration forms that gives you non-commercial application. So it's a non-commercial ambulance. And I was in the post office with one time with my vehicles, and the lady says, oh, you can't do that, you can't change the designation of your... Oh, yes, I can. She says, right, we'll ring up the Land Transport Agency. I said, yep, right, let's do that. She's rang up to them on the phone, da-da-da. I said, yeah. She says, oh, yeah, how can you, what's the reason for changing your registration? I said, oh, well, I've got plenty of oxygen in there, I just wind down the windows, I've got a mattress in the back for a bed, and I've got a first aid kit. So I'm now a non-commercial ambulance in that designation. And she's like, well, those reasons don't make you be able to do that. And I says, oh, well, here's the reason it does. It's the only thing there that gives me a non-commercial capacity. Even as a private passenger vehicle, passengers are in commerce, folks. Passengers are in commerce. You get on a train, you're a passenger. You're a passenger on a bus, you're on commerce. So again, you've entered into that side of the contract that makes you bound by the rules and regulations, the privileges and the benefits of the society that you claim to be members of.
Yeah, so a question with that, so you can only change that in the actual physical form. You can't do it online.
I'm not too sure. Oh, I don't know.
Right, let us know.
I haven't done that for a while. So that's your reasoning. And so when they ask you why you can't do that, you say yes, I can, because it's the only thing there that gives me a non-commercial capacity, and I want to operate in a non-commercial capacity.
So are your passengers patients?
No, they're guests. They're guests, and we are travelling from point A to point B, which you have no jurisdiction to obstruct me in any way, shape or form. And it actually says on the inside of your passport too. You've got New Zealand passports?
Yeah.
Go and have a look in the front cover, mate, and read it. Read it and weep. You will.
No, what's number 4?
Oh, number 4. Ah, I know.
To do with the vaccine and mandating.
Conditional acceptance.
Yes.
Conditional acceptance, folks. This is the only way that you deal with any offer that is being presented to you. Conditional acceptance. Now, what does that mean? That means that if I'm making a presentation to you, and you know, whether it's a claim of, oh, you know, your kid broke me window, or your dog shat in your yard, or whatever it is, whatever claim it is, and say, oh, yep, I'm happy to accept all liability and responsibility for that, if I'm lawfully and legally bound to, and so please provide proof of your claim. Please provide proof of your claim. That's powerful stuff right there, folks. It throws that ball straight back into their court. And it makes them run around like blue-ass flies trying to answer your questions. And that's where you got to be as kings and queens in the quest die on. Okay? You put the ball back in their court and you say, hey man, I'll accept anything you're offering upon proof of claim. Proof of claim of what? Proof of claim of jurisdiction. You got jurisdiction over this matter. Proof of claim of authority. Where do you garner your authority from? Proof of claim of contract. Where's the contract? Does it cover the 7 precepts of a legally, lawfully binding contract? I'll guarantee you it doesn't. And if one of those precepts isn't there, that nullifies the whole contract. Makes it null and void. Dismissed. Case dismissed. See you later.
So can you say that, or would you write it in a letter, like all of that to your employer, like if your job is being threatened?
Well, see, here's another thing too, folks. As powerful as the word is, people lie. People lie. So you put everything in writing, or you record it. You put it on the record. You get your phones out, all these interactions with all these officers, all these assumed agents of the Crown, which we haven't even got into, but all these assumed agents, they're a gent, aren't they? What's a gent, folks? It's a Gentile, isn't it? What's a Gentile? Well, Gentiles are non-Jews. But you've got to pay your dues. And that's due diligence, isn't it? Otherwise you'll get injuried by the jury in the juristic game. In the jurisdiction. Because the jewellery has value. Again, they're telling you what's going on. They're telling you who's playing the game. They've got to. They've got to tell you what's going on, folks. Because it confers your consent. And they love it. They laugh and they laugh all the way to the bank, folks. All the way to the bank.
No, are there any documents that can be helpful for us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You know, when we have an encounter with a police agent or...
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I haven't even...
But yeah.
I haven't got any time to go into...
We're going to have to have
Look,
another meeting, aren't we, mate?
yeah, your Bill of Rights, folks. Look into your Bill of Rights. I think I've got them there. I've got the majority of them there. Go and look at them. Learn 2 or 3 of them. Learn just 2 or 3 of them. Learn 1 a week, 1 a day. Man, because this is power. This is powerful stuff, and it's recognised in their courts and their legislation. The Crown, folks. The Crown is, they are the executors. They are the executive. They are the copyright ownership. The copyright own your ship. They own your vessels. Ships is hips, the anagram is hips. Hips is because the first thing that comes out of the hips of the female during birth is the crown. No coincidence. Again, when you start to connect these things, you start to see another level of information that's being espoused to you and being conveyed. So conditional acceptance for everything. You conditionally accept everything. I'll accept everything. Upon the condition, you can provide proof of claim of your authority, of your jurisdiction, of their legitimate contract.
And if they just spout you an act or a statute as their jurisdiction?
Spit them 3 back. Here's another thing, folks. There's always another maxim of law. There must always be remedy within the law. And there always is. There is always remedy within the law. There must be, because we go to court to seek remedy for injustices. So there's a remedial precipice there. There's a there's remedy there. Your remedy is there. It's in legislation. It's all there. Your Bill of Rights. It's all recognised in legislation. The Application Laws Act, 1988, recognises common law jurisdiction. Wow, they recognise it. Okay, let's start exercising it. In fact, excuse me, you know, the more people that start to comprehend this information, it creates an exponential vibration that is going to dissolve all these systems anyway. Through us comprehending and picking up and living this information and applying it in our lives day to day, it dissolves that system. The legal system is a fiction that operates on fear and intimidation, just like the big bully. And as soon as you stand up to them and say, no, mate, they dissolve pretty quickly. Seriously. Because see, at certain levels they know this. And that's why they're scared. That's why they're rats in a corner and they're going to get nasty and they're getting nasty. We're seeing it because they're in fear. Sorry?
With all you shared tonight, where do you stand with regard to action?
Pretty firmly. I stand pretty firmly.
With regard to no jab, no job?
Oh, no way. No way, man.
Well, I think she asked that question quite a while.
Okay, so your conditional acceptance, again, apply your conditional acceptance. Oh yeah, I'm happy to take your jab upon proof of you've isolated the virus. I can't, it actually even meets the criteria, the medical criteria of a virus, or a vaccine, sorry. It doesn't even meet the medical criteria of a vaccine that they're calling a vaccine. So again, you've been duped. You've been sold lemons, been told, oh, these are beautiful apples. Come and get your apples, folks. I can't help you, man. You've got to help yourself.
There in the back.
Sorry?
There's a sticker there in the back, exactly that. Bite out of an apple.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is an orange.
Yeah.
That's
Man,
shells it all.
they're telling you one thing and look at the fruits of the tree, man.
Norm, I think there's a conditional acceptance, no jab, no job on NZ Doctors SOS
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
You can download and it actually
Yeah,
gets-
there's a couple, as I say, a couple of links on the back page there I've given you, is that if you go to the files sections on some of those Facebook pages, like the Sovereign Freedom one and the New Zealand Truth and Freedom page, if you have a look at those at the back there,
They've got them in one page now.
have a look at them and
Used to be about 18.
sorry?
Used to be about 18 pages. All the stuff about that you could give to your employer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can actually do it in one page as well. And you do a lot, sign
Look, mate, it can be one
You
question.
won't sign it.
You can kill it in one question. Please provide proof of your claim
Everybody wants
that it's safe.
told me I can get into. I've got a one-pager. It says questions for the vaccinators. Whether it be wanting you to get vaccinated, I think it's the same thing. It's one big list.
Same thing,
Just
man.
answer these questions. I'll be happy to do it.
It's really, seriously folks, I mean, our remedy is extremely simple. It really, really is. And we've got it. We've got it because once that switch gets turned on, she's game over. She's game over. Grover?
No,
Yes.
I recall an episode on TV seasons of, it was called Boston Legal. I don't know if you ever saw that. Captain Kirk was one of the main actors. He's Danny Kirk. And they never lost a case because they always knew there was an exception. In this duality I talked about,
Yeah.
there's always an exception.
Sure.
But in truth, there never is. And that's one of the distinctions between the two. It's pretty well fixed.
Okay.
So coming from truth, you can't move from there. But in the belief system, there's always wiggle room.
Yeah, true. Truth relative, because your truth's not my truth.
No, I'm talking
But
about
we have a collective truth.
I'm talking about absolute truth.
Absolute truth. The whole truth and the
other
absolute
one's an
truth.
oxymoron.
Because we all want to have absolution, don't we?
But I like your analogy to get chess, or accepting chess, both sides start equal with the same amount of pieces.
Yes.
But it's only your knowledge on how to use those pieces that makes the difference.
Indeed, indeed.
And the
Look,
knowledge is
I mean, once you understand, there's a few simple things, man, that once you grasp, just dissolves any assumed authority that they have. Like, for example, another maxim of law, a simple maxim is, there must be equality before the law. Okay? That means equal footing before the law. It's actually expressed several different ways in different legal dictionaries, but anyway. The precept is that there must be equal balance. Now, if we understand and comprehend that the government is a foreign corporation with unlimited finances and police and military and force and all the rest of it, then that's a huge force. And I'm little me, trying to defend myself in court. Where's the equality in the law? Your Honour, there's no equality in the law. There's only little old me, and there's all corporations against me. Case dismissed, Your Honour. See you later.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, seriously.
Yes.
They've got no jurisdiction over you until you consent or stand up to it.
Yeah.
Stop playing their game. Say no, start drawing. And this is what this process here is, drawing your lines in the sand and putting your pieces on the board and saying, right, these are my terms and conditions. These are what I'm going to live by. If you've got any other way that you feels better for me, I'll have a look at it and I'll consider it and I'll be asking for proof of your claim. And the ball's back in your court and see you later until you present your proof of claim. And they come back with that and you give them 55 other questions. They come back with that and you give them 100 questions.
And a fee.
Mate, we can play this game till the sun goes down. If every individual out there who got convicted of a crime that had a sentence of 3 months in jail or more applied, as is their habeas corpus right, for a jural trial, we would have the court systems in New Zealand closed within 24 hours, folks.
That's right.
And it would be 50 years down the line when your case come up. That's how easy it is. Seriously.
Yeah, we've got to be strong.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's always a numbers game because numbers is universal language. That's why we have logarithms, which is logic, which is the truth of the matter. That's why we have logs.
Roger that.
That's why we have dialogue. Dia in Greek actually means to go through by. So dialogue is to go through by logging things. To get on board. It's all to do with shipping. It's all to do with shipping, to be on board, to be the masters of your ship. To consign, it's a consignment. You're conscripted, folks, and you're consigned on the vessels that you need to become masters of.
Maritime.
Yes, maritime jurisdictional law, that's right. Not law of the land. Well, we could, next time maybe we can go into the land, the air and the water. Many people know the applications of the land because we're the land. I am the land. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes, folks. I'm made of the earth. I am the land. You know, and you know, what do they call our tax department?
Thieves.
No, they call them the Inland Revenue.
Wow. Yeah.
So they revenue your land onto the ship of commerce and they siphon off your liquidity, making you all insolvent. Clever, eh? It's pretty clever. It's clever. It's very, very clever. It's diabolically evil, but it's extremely clever because it confers consent back to you. You consent through your own ignorance, through your own lack of knowledge, because no one told you. You know.
The education system is so full.
Yeah, there's several ways we can be fooled, of course, and that's not to believe things that aren't true, and that's to not believe things that are true. And this is how, again, these two different jurisdictional worlds that we need to start recognising, observing and operating in, and staying in the world of the living over here, in the private, with all our credit as creditors, with all our sense, not C-E-N-T-S, it's S-E-N-S-E. It's that sense. It's not the dollars and cents, but see, this is again how they use the duplicity of the words to get us into false senses of comfort while they're rogering you up the rear end. They get us into a false sense of, oh yeah, he's a nice person. Oh yeah, he's a good human being. They're contracts. Those are contractual, fictional entity structures. They're not real. They're not real They're not the real estate. The real estate, again, the land, the real estate. E is energy. The energetic state of your land. Yes, sorry. Yep.
You're planning more of these, or is it a that's all, or can we?
He's got to do more.
A few more times, then, I don't know.
Yeah, because there's like shitloads of stuff on
He's
it.
doing one next week. We
So,
already said earlier, he's doing one next
yeah, okay,
week.
so I've got the opportunity to book this again for next week, so maybe we'll see you all here.
There was that notice of standing that Mark Thompson has that, I think it's a $500 document, he's trying to get some cheaper. But,
You don't need, you look, mate.
it'd be really good to have a template.
Be careful of roads. Look, I'm not going to mark a road, but you know, anyone that's trying to sell you something, mate, that's free.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's free.
Template.
All you need to do is pick it up.
Yeah.
It's free. It's free.
Where? I need to.
Out of your mouth, and in your pen, and in your
He
hand.
says you got to have it in your heart, but I'd like it in writing, so when I'm being
Sure.
questioned.
But you
I'd
do
be able to-
need to do your own research, that's what Norm's saying, is we have to own it within, but we have to also do our own.
Sure, look,
research.
I don't expect, look, there's no way, that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but there's no way you're going to be able to garner the knowledge that I've garnered over the last 30 years of deciphering, despelling and descripting this stuff, okay? You're not going to do that. So the simplicity of it is, your remedies are right there in legislation. They're in your Bill of Rights, they're in some of the acts I've given you there. It shows quite clearly the common law is recognised in their jurisdictions. The common law is cause no harm, no injury, it's inherent, it can't be taken away from me other than by my consent or giving it away. But then that's my ability to contract again, or not to contract.
So obviously, if you've gone out and killed someone, you don't,
That's a difference, yeah.
you're not using the
That's a
common law
crime.
to-
That you've deceived someone.
Exactly.
You've deceived someone. So you know, in actual fact, the common law kind of really aligns with anarchy. And anarchy doesn't mean no rulers. Sorry, no, it doesn't mean no rules, it means no rulers. Okay? Anarchy is the rule of common law. Meaning don't cause no harm. You know, I don't want to cause you harm. If I cause Fred some trouble, he might not do it to me, but he's going to go out and pass that on to someone else. That's the energetic flow of karmic reaction. I think most of us grasp that in this age. And so sow seeds, and sow we seeds. And so, you know, you're never going to understand everything that I understand and comprehend. There's just no way you can. I'm here for you, but I'm saying that I'm only one guy, and I don't want to get overloaded with stuff. I expect people to do their own due diligence. Okay? Seriously, there's no tools out there that you don't already have. You've got all the tools, they're all there. It's just a matter of you picking it up, and putting the bullets in your belts, and you know, putting your shields on and standing in your truth. Yes.
Can we fit into the program sometimes, or perhaps we could break up the groups and do role play? That's a good way to learn.
Okay, but what?
It's psychology.
I was hoping to have, I haven't had time. I can't have time to do.
Not today.
What you can do? Okay, here's something you can do to practice this aspect here, as being as kings and queens. Okay, get in sets of twos and keep asking each other questions. The first person that answers, you're out. See how long you can go. It's a good way of training your mind to not just bow down and accept the authority or because someone's got a uniform or a shiny badge or whatever it is. They still put their trousers on one leg at a time, mate, and they still sit down to shirt.
It's something going on with the courts at the moment, because I've seen on the Telegram post ages ago about go and check out your courts, your local courts in the city, because the flags have been taken off.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I have heard someone else say that too.
Yeah, and we went
There's
no flag there.
there's some big things happening under the waters.
Yeah.
So yeah, hold on, people, because you know there's some pretty exciting things that are coming to the fore. We got this, guys. We got it. So please don't be in fear. This stuff dissolves as soon as you question it. As soon as you mirror it, what it does to you, do back to it. Turn it around. Just turn it around and put it back in their court.
There's no flag
And
outside.
nothing can touch you. You can't touch you. So I'm going to call it quits there, guys. My voice is getting pretty raw.
there's the money jar in the book to put your name and email if you're not already on the list.